wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. 'Cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. so hard to breathe? Why does it feel so hard to breathe? So hard to breathe. Never found, but these voices bring me to my knees. Again, why do you waste your light on me? 1974. I think I'm going insane. I'm feeling crazy. Can't get it out of my head. Oh no, if the devil inside takes hold, then I just might wind up dead. Wasted, face it. You're never gonna be the one. Rockstar, you won't get far, but at least you had fun. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, a king or a queen, as long as you got a dream. Oh no, it's a lie. They just wanna take your life, try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield. 1974.
I don't know why I let you, but you had to light a spark in me. Lost control, falling over, getting pulled in by your gravity. Thought that I had figured it out, never felt it rationally, but this sense of urgency has me wondering. Thought that I had figured it out, nothing could get through to me, but this kind of chemistry has me wondering. When you're not around it, all goes black and white. How come I'm not seeing in color? Lost without you, I can't make it through the night. How come I'm not seeing in color?
You'll still have common days. Forget someone's name mid-conversation. Count your tips at the end of your shift. Buy something disappointing off the internet. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Welcome in, everybody, to more Division 1 League of Legends action here in the NECC. We have made it all the way to the Forge Trials presented by the Army National Guard. Please find your calling at nationalguard.com. My name is Yanni. I am joined here by Alk. Alk, what a treat we get here tonight. One of the best matchups you'll get to see in the NECC. We get it in the first round. Northwood University versus Winthrop Academy Garden.
Yeah, we get to start off the Forge Trials with, I think, a bang, right? Just starting off in Division 1 means that for the rest of the playoffs, potentially, we might get some fun matches. We might, scoot on down to like Division 7 for a little bit for 1 week. We'll come back. We'll move up to Division 2. And to start off, I mean, when we're talking about just the rosters here tonight, I think that this is one that fans that have been watching for a long time, whether that is here at the NECC or just amongst the other collegiate broadcasts, this is one that I think a lot of fans should be more familiar with.
No doubt about it. A ton of recognizable names. A couple of more recognizable names on the side of Winthrop Academy Garden, as we see Sword is going to be joining the squad here to play in the mid lane. But there is something a little off about this Northwood University roster, Alk, as it looks like Legacy not going to be playing here in at least this first game. So we get the bottom lane, the double support Clarice and Clyde bot lane.
I am super excited about this. Like,
Me
I
too.
remember watching Clyde play a lot of farming Senna back in the day. Obviously, Clarit's known, I think, a little bit more for some of their Enchanter play, but between the two of them, I'm looking for some really interesting combos, especially we've talked a lot about here on this broadcast and across the league. Just Enchanters are very, very strong in general, so what are our two supports going to pull out for their first playoff series?
Maybe we see some Seraphine Sona action or something like that. Something a little creative like that. Unfortunately, the support farming penalty is still in the game. Rumors that that's going to be axed on the next patch. Should be fun, but unfortunately for Clarice and Clyde, we do not live in that sort of future. So talking a little bit more about the teams here. Northwood finished 7-0 in their group, 14-1 in games. Both them and Fisher were 6-0 going into their last match against each other with perfect seasons, 12-0 in games. And that series, both teams did not escape unscathed, with Northwood being 14-1 by the end of it.
Yeah.
Winthrop, on the other hand, finishing 5-2, going in 4th place. They had an FF loss to Indiana Tech, but they did lose a series to Grandview.
Now, the Indiana Tech one, it is an FF. It is an FF loss. So, I think there's only so much we can really extrapolate from that. It is the second place team, right? 6-1 going in at the end of the season. And 4th, I think the last time that we got to take a look at Winthrop Academy, it wasn't like the strongest showing from them, especially in their group. If I remember correctly, I was unfortunately not on that show, but it was against the USC varsity team in week 2, if I'm recalling this.
I think you're right.
We were going back and forth. We were getting really excited, and then I was like, oh, crap, guys, I actually can't show for this. So, all that to say is that for the Garnet team, I think there are stakes. Yes, this is playoffs, but this is the academy team, and you are playing under the umbrella of Winthrop University, but I think much lower stakes than I think we typically have for this program.
No doubt about it. And a man of many umbrellas, apparently, playing support for Winthrop. A very interesting note is that he had just got done playing in the NACL under CCG against Winthrop earlier today and 2-0'd them, only 35, playing support for this Winthrop Academy team. He owes them one. He owes them a dub here after beating them in the NACL.
Yeah, and also I think only 35 had a really touching moment in the post-game interview, kind of talking about celebrating today's win in the NACL as a tribute to his brother who passed away, if I remember correctly, it is 10 years ago. So I think it is a very obviously emotionally charged day. And yes, playing against and for your current program is always going to have a little bit of fun on there. And especially for the bot lane shenanigans we were talking about across from them on Northwood, I think it kind of just feels like it's a culmination of things here as we get into the playoff matches.
Yeah, it's going to be absolute chaos down here. Super excited for only 35 to maybe be the first player ever to play against and with the same organization in the same
True.
day, and hopefully he'll be on the winning side both times. It should be very interesting because usually whenever he's on the Rift, the game can center around him. He's from Turkey, played in the Turkish leagues, European flavor of support, and they like to get really aggressive.
It's got the European spice. There's donair everywhere. There's cats, a lot of cats. That's essentially my knowledge of Turkey. So I won't try to offend Emmett much longer than I have already. Northwood on blue, I think always really more interesting to see from certain players, especially the players that have been playing more long-standingly for this program. When I'm talking about Cozy and Reppy. What is Reppy going to pull out when he has to potentially blind his mid lane pick? And what is Sword going to bring? Because we actually haven't seen a ton of Sword this season. He's been in some of their games. I know he played in their series versus Ole Miss, but aside from that, Sword has been largely absent from the lineup, at least from, I think, a majority of the more front-facing games we've gotten from Winthrop.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting because they run really deep in the mid lane there with Zach, aka Papa, starting for them today in an ACL, but they also have Fulls on the roster, for their program. I mean, they run so deep. So we'll see what Sword's got. Maybe these are just some tune-up matches for him, but all the same, going to be important to go get a win You know, he really likes his Azir. We'll see if he gets it today. Taking a look at some of these bans, clearly targeting out Girlburger up in that top lane with that Rumble ban. But this should be, as you mentioned, with this matchup in the mid lane, a little bit more difficult than Reppy probably would have expected initially, as, you know, Sword has been really good for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. And it just means, what are we going to get from mid jungles, right? Like Sword plus Ogawa, we've gotten glimpses of that matchup together. Reppy plus Will. I think that Will has been really incredible on his specific champions, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he is going to be pulling out here. And Bessa first, not too surprising with the Rumble being taken away, but he's obviously potentially flexible as we've seen in series past. Nocturne, in my mind, we always see Nocturne almost immediately paired up, and we'll see it here for Winthrop.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I do like that Ambessa pickup because it's also a takeaway from Winthrop, but listen, if you're going to take that, then Winthrop can just get the Orianna with whatever pairing they want. It's going to be real good. We'll see how Northwood's going to respond. We're going to see an Akali get locked in here. Now, could obviously go up to the top lane because Cozy's namesake champion back when he was named Cozy Shroud. We'll see if he gets that again. He's going to try to run down Girlburger.
I'm okay with that. Look, play through your solo lanes. Jace, lot of flex spot. These are technically 3 top lane champions for Cozy. So nothing's locked in yet. No, everybody could be playing anything. I would love to see Reppy play Jace. I think it'd be really funny at the very least. And we're going to try to just neutralize that from Winthrop. It seems like they're going to be playing much more of a conventional front-to-back composition with dive elements thanks to having the knock wave. What are we pairing this up with? Are we going to be immediately looking for a Kai'Sa, or are we going to be picking more AD carries that can, I think, more safely stay in mid lane and potentially interact with fights in a different way?
Not only that, Alk, what are we banning here in the second half? Because for Northwood, you have to be really careful. You mostly have to take out AD carries, which they go after that Kai'Sa. You don't really get to spend any support bans here because of the composition of your bot lane being Clarice and Clyde.
That's true. Bard is okay. We were joking if we were going to see some Sona Seraphine. I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think Senna's potentially on the table. And look, anything's possible. I personally, if I am Northwood, I don't want to see Alistar and I don't want to see a Nautilus. But maybe you're not worried about that. You're saying, well, we have something maybe specially prepared for our 2, double support bot lanes that are playing today.
We'll see their first pick here. Let's see what they want to opt into on the side of Winthrop. It's going to be a Rakan, so you're not going to have access to that. More good dive tools, really setting up whatever their choice of AD carry is going to be for their final pick here. And now we await Northwood.
So here's the fun thing. Yunara, maybe Lulu? I mean, Lulu's not banned. It would definitely be fine. If you want, Alistar's not already taken away, so you're probably looking at Leona or Nautilus. What I'm going to say here is that on paper, I think Winthrop's draft, front to back, very easy to play, something that we can practice multiple times in scrims when it comes to combinations of things, but Northwood have a lot of variability in their draft. I think that the solo lanes, having Ambessa, Akali, and Jace as your top side in any kind of format, whichever way we want to cycle those, is going to provide a lot of ways for Northwood to suddenly get into a gold lead, suddenly explode outwards. But that requires for them to play well and for them to not make mistakes, which can end up happening when you have no targeted crowd control. There is no lockdown for Orianna, and who's stopping really the Nocturne from doing much?
Yeah, we are really hoping for a Lulu polymorph if you're knocking people up with the wild growth, and Ambessa's ultimate, that public execution. So that's your CC, and that's all you're going to get. Taking a look at the configuration of the comp, it's Ambessa in the top lane, Jace in the jungle, and Akali in the mid lane for Reppy. Let's take a look at some of the uncommon traits for both of these sides here on these teams. Northwood University, we're looking for solo lane dominance, jungle diff, and legacy matchup between 2 long-standing programs.
The legacy matchup's not happening this series. That brother's not playing. So, all right, look, solo lane dominance, sure, makes sense. I think that Cozy has definitely been one of our strongest laners, I think, across the board. Jungle diff, Makes sense for Will. I think Will sometimes has a couple of tendencies that make games a little bit harder, and he has definitely ironed himself out from years ago. If you're still thinking of Will as this kind of flippy Lee Sin player, Lee Sin Graves from years ago, you're just not kind of hip with the times. I think you have a much older perspective on this player. He has definitely, I think, rounded out his champion pool, but I still have worries about some of his decision making, especially around late game scenarios.
Those uncommon traits were brought to you by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. Alk, I couldn't agree more with you when it comes down to Will. I think everybody just has this idea that he is the same guy, and he really isn't. And, I am still really hoping that he'll be able to find his way back into the NACL. It feels like he has every year for the last couple of years, and, maybe he'll have some impressive performances on some really good teams like this Northwood squad going into C-Law playoffs at large that maybe garner some interest, or he has a really good open qualifier for Open Qualifier 2.
Yeah, could be. I mean, look, maybe this is Khalid's or Clyde's transition to playing AD carry, Maybe
Sure.
this is the start of something new, and we can be on the cutting edge. We can be at the front lines, and we can push out we can push out whatever narratives we want. That's the great thing about being casters on the show. We could do whatever we want, and there's zero punishments.
Honestly, yeah, and this AD carry pick kind of came out of left field, right? Like, I expected something that if you are going to pick an AD carry, maybe something a little bit more supportive, maybe like an Asher or something like that, a champion that's played in the support role in the past that plays more of a utility role in the team. But no, we went with a late game carry in Yunara to give that over to Clarice. So listen, I mean, this bot lane theoretically, only 35 and Soldier are going to really look to feast on these guys.
I hope so. I think coming in, Northwood should be the expected favorite. I mean, just look at the seeding difference between the two, right? This is first seed from Group E versus fourth seed. Winthrop should be expected to come in, take a tough series loss. If they can go to 3, I think I'm happy with that, because that means that Division 1 as a bracket potentially is a lot closer than maybe folks at home might think. There's a pretty big drop-off here, Yanni. Like, Seed 1 from both sides, 6-1, 6-0, or 7-0, sorry, 7-0 and 6-1. Indiana Tech over on Group A, 6-1. And then you get over to Group B's 3rd and 4th seed, Mizo Esports and SFU Black, 3-4 for both of them. That is that is a gap. That is a 3-win gap between the first and second seeds of both groups.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And that just goes to show, how top-heavy and weird the standings can get when you've got teams like Northwood and Fisher up at the top. Something that you and I get to see at, Division 1 at times, right? When you see that difference where it's like, we've got
Division
the cascading
1, the tournament,
wins. Yes.
Not Division 1 NECC.
Yes,
bracketing.
Correct.
All right, making sure.
But you get to see, the cascade go down from there, and then once you get to that, 4th seed, it's like, all right, we're starting to get into, the 4s and 3s and stuff like that. So, this is a good showing of showing that, hey, Winthrop maybe has the stronger group. We're going to find out on Summoner's Rift, because it's game 1 in this best of 3 Fearless series, Northwood University versus Winthrop Academy Garnet.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
It is going to be first strike Jace. Jace has been nerfed, but we've seen this champion kind of fall off.
Minions
And like I said, as we were finishing draft, Northwood's composition, very, very tricky to play. It is all about finding flank angles. It's all about unconventional sightlines. Legacy is playing. What is this?
All right, then.
We were told that Clyde is potentially playing. Maybe there's a last-second swap coming through. So
Well, this makes a lot more sense now.
This makes all of our early talking points mute now. This makes me sad. And we're also seeing Poke Varus win with Rakan versus Lulu Yunara. This, in my mind, this should not happen in this way.
Yeah, it feels like they didn't wait for Yunara to get her auto stacked up for the Empowered Q, because it's so hard to fight her with that Empowered Q. We're seeing a heal get burnt here by Clarice. Is there looking to just walk up and deal as much damage as they can to force off Soldier and only 35. Clarit's dangerously low.
I'm glad that only 35 has carry at 31 as another account. That's beautiful. This is really worrisome, Yanni, because both junglers are pathing bot with Northwood already having an early ward on the Raptors to try to spot out Ogawa. Bot lane's gonna need to force a recall, otherwise, with the wave bouncing back to them, I think it'd be really problematic. Also, taking a look at Winthrop's bot lane, Varus has teleport, so no matter how bad the trade is, as long as they're able to find an 8-second window, that turns into a TP back, and you can suddenly be re-upped and trap Legacy underneath their turret, which could be super problematic going forward, especially for a Jace. No frontline, no setup. You need winning lanes for this kind of thing to work.
Not much mana in the mid lane here, but all dominance coming out so far from Sword in the ranged versus melee matchup, doing a really good job of trying to keep Repri down and make it as hard for him to farm under turret as possible. I already see him getting very low on energy as this wave is starting to get in. You take stock everywhere else. Look at the solo lane up on the top side. Cozy so far having a pretty good time against Grillburger. We won't really see any fruits of the labor in that matchup until a little bit later on when Invest is able to start making plays.
I wish we had interviews with players here on NECC. Actually, I need to be careful how I continue this sentence because I don't want to flame Yanni. But what is the distinction between a regular burger and a grill burger?
I have been wondering that for so long, and honestly, I worry that it's something that's not stream friendly.
I was thinking, you know, maybe the distinction is similar to like a girl boss.
Maybe.
You know.
Are they putting estrogen in the burger?
They could. I wouldn't be opposed. It sounds kind of fun. Sword?
Will showing up from the mid lane here. Taking quite a bit of damage, but he's out of there. Just a lot of first strike gold going over in the
already
pocket.
in that thing, so why not? Let's throw a little bit of estrogen in there. All
yeah,
right?
why not?
Look, we all produce testosterone and estrogen just in different amounts. Either way, we can continue on. We can move away from the topic of grill burgers for now. You're playing Scion. We'll see you much later, Grilling Pop. Okay, so as we saw, we were kind of talking about having teleport on bottom lane. Varus took a trade, teleports right back into the lane. And while the back hasn't turned into a massive win, we're even right now in terms of CS. I think the thing that's more important is that Will, by him stopping in mid lane, he has no other place to go, and that potentially opens up now an angle for Ogawa. But I think Cozy just has a lot of mobility.
This was spotted out, too. Like, he pinged him out on the ward here. Good flash from Ogawa to keep pace with Cozy.
Oh!
And it's first blood going over to the Winthrop jungler.
And Cozy flashes anyway. You're already feared, brother. That's a free win. And look, the kill goes over to Ogawa. A big wave now crashes for this Scion. You can free up a teleport and try to equalize the gold deficits that's showing up here. All of that laning dominance that we wanted to see already starting to kind of backfire thanks to the jungler, the substitute jungler over on Winthrop Garnet. We did get to see Ogawa a little bit as they are finishing up their masters or their graduate program, which I think is really cool. But that was a well-timed gank, and like you mentioned, they had complete vision of it from Northwood's side.
Yeah, I just the ego there from Cozy, to be quite honest, there's no other way to put it. It was so high there, and gets punished for it. We'll see if he's able to bounce back and, you know, correct the earlier mistakes, right his wrongs, and continue to chip away in this top side.
Look, I'm sure Cozy's like, oh well, you know, I thought he would continue clearing his camps. He's pre-6 Nocturne. Why is he ganking my lane? I'm halfway in the lane, right? Like, I got a lot of ways of moving. Makes sense. But aside
Jungle
from that,
Death.
yeah, I guess. Aside from that, I will say, you know, we're looking at how the lanes are coming out either afterwards, and it is Winthrop Garnet with a small lead. I don't think it's going to be super meaningful. I say that now.
Clarice just wins the fight against only 35. They're not able to actually get a kill back here.
They can get another
Ogawa
one,
shows
actually.
up and immediately getting peppered with auto attacks with no with no camps on the bottom side. Ogawa's gonna stay level 5 for a little bit longer.
Oh,
Flashing forward. Soldier whiffing his ultimate, but Ogawa's still here, so Legacy just trying to feel things out. He won't go for the full engagement.
Oh, but look at top lane right now. Like, Will is feasting on this jungle matchup here. Didn't make the play happen bottom side. Clarice gets the kill onto only 35. Will just took enemy respawn raptors and took Krugs. Girlburger cancels the recall. I think that's a big mistake because now you're stuck here. Ogawa no ultimate.
Public execution, and they turn Girlburger to mincemeat to kill up in the top side for Will. And Girlburger gonna go for some autos on Cozy here, but won't be able to fully clear out that wave. And you know Cozy wants to get that last plate.
Look at just the map right now, because only 35 moved to this lane, try to make something happen.
Sword
Red
slow.
doesn't have ult.
Just the flash there out of Sword. Here comes only 35 flashing in. There's a knock up over the top. Ogawa coming in because he's hit level 6. One more auto, and Reppy will fall. It's 2 kills apiece. 7.5 minutes in.
They are lucky from the side of Winthrop that Northwood decided to overextend for this play in mid lane. If that wouldn't have happened, only 35 would have continued the recall. You would have also still had the Mbessa pushing, and then you would have lost so much more. So Reppy's small mistake from thinking that he's more empowered thanks to support showing on mid ended up backfiring just a little bit and getting Winthrop, you know, to be able to stay within this game. We're going to see some proxying from Girlburger versus Mbessa. It makes sense. You know, Jace just showed top side. They were able to get that kill. He's going to be on the bottom side of the map. I just want to see what Will's first base is, because he is quite ahead. I know it is only 2 kills to 1, but a no moves to start and no early dragons being taken yet by Winthrop does feel very, very good.
Immediately utilizing that Ghost Blade to get on the map a little bit faster. My favorite part about that item, the run fast. Ward getting placed down, and the banana rush of the bottom jungle, spotted out by Ogawa. Only 35 fails his dash over the wall, and about half HP. Ultimate tags Clarice and also roots up Legacy. He'll take big damage and be forced to barrier.
The barrier is actually massive because he's above 50% HP. Seems like Soldier is doing a very good job of just taking pot shots from the other side of the lane. It's not gonna matter though. When they kind of fought over this, they know that there's no ultimate available for this AD carry. So now that just turns into a free dragon. Good for Northwood. I want to see them control these objectives. I think Grub's another one that they have to kind of consider as very, very dangerous. I think on side lanes, giving things like Akali and Mbessa the ability to take down turrets very fast as melees, always a good decision.
We saw some initial pings come down from Northwood on to those Grubs.
Oh,
Sword
solo
gets
kill.
a solo kill on Reppy. That should open the door for Winthrop to be able to take the objective tree.
That's extremely punishing. I mean, now we're going to see Ogawa, who's already moving into top side. I mean, Sword gets this mid wave. He gets to hit the turret. That's at least 1 plate. If he wants the second one, he can, but he's just going to take his recall. Mid-jungle, I know I was talking about Will getting fed, but if these are the ways that Winthrop are going to find advantages through their lanes, I'm happy. I mean, we talked about how strong this composition was going to be, and they're still slamming this Yunara, despite it still being very close in the minion score.
It just feels like if Will doesn't continue to really impose his will on this game, we haven't really seen a ton of ganks where he shows up and throws a shock blast, right? If that doesn't happen, if Cozy's lead kind of stays where it's at and doesn't grow any further, I think Winthrop Garnet are in a really, really good spot. But if things don't go their way and Cozy does stuff like this, they could get troublesome in the next 10 minutes or so.
Good abuse there from Cozy. I wonder if when he uses his ultimate and then autos with the Eclipse Shield, does that count as taking damage underneath the turret? This Girlburger with the flash down, probably just going to die here with how much focus there is.
Yep, once again on an island, just waiting for the last couple of minions to die for Cozy and Will to say go, and Cozy will get it done.
Another wave. This means that Cozy essentially just gets a recall if he decides he wants it. And another top side, but now this is where Ogawa gets to control all of bottom lane, and you have to be very, very afraid as Yunara. You've already been getting whittled away at. You now get to see that Ogawa and only 35 are sitting in mid lane. they can very easily snap over to you on bottom lane. And now you're even getting vision that Will and Clarita are walking through are walking through this side of the jungle. So a lot of information being gained by Winthrop.
Oh, nice charm there with the ultimate. Only 35. It is a quick pickup for Winthrop. Ogawa 3-0.
That's great. I mean, Nocturne and Ori are going to be super dominant. You already see that they've completed both their first items, whereas Reppy's still waiting to finish what is going to look to be a Proto Belt, or Rocket Belt, I should say. And I am worried here, Yanni, for Northwood. We talked about how no consistent lockdown. They don't really have a frontliner in this game until maybe Mbessa when she teleports in and she has like 3 items. Right now, one of your big carries is down. You have a 0-3 Akali, and thankfully this is not going to be like a Rod of Ages Orianna where she's impossible to touch, but you kind of need ways to play the game, especially as kind of this poke and prod, you know, setting the pins up and allowing Akali and Mbessa to knock them down. That's not going to occur in these fights now.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing about that Orianna build. It does mean that the door will still be open for Reppy to try to make some plays. Will trying to make a play himself here, encroaching on the red buff of Ogawa. Seeing a lot of on-the-way help pings, but to be honest with you, unless we see a crazy shockwave, it might not go Winthrop's way. Ogawa in a little bit of trouble, knocked a little bit closer to Cozy, has to flash over the wall. There's that public execution, Sword's on the way, but he's a little too late. Girlburger getting chopped down, turn around looking for the knock-up. There's another knock-up using that ultimate, but Sinister beats up, puts himself against the wall. Shockwave lands, but Cozy's alive, and Reppy's looking to assassinate some people.
Oh my God.
Double knock-up is there, but the damage is just not enough right now. The polymorph from the sword, he finds one, he's in melee range, flashes away. Cozy can't get to him, has to run, but Sword cleans him up, and Will on a sliver is stuck and dead. A double kill for Sword, and a big win for Winthrop.
Winthrop Garnet came to play in this one. You get more kills onto Ogawa and Sword. Orianna not dying there is a massive boon, and while Northwood are trying to make this play topside, Legacy only gets 1.5 plates here in the bot lane. This is a big, big win for them as they were able to at least grab the red buff back. Orianna is now, I think, untouchable in this game. She doesn't have flash. You're up almost 50 CS plus 3 plates in mid. I mean, she's gonna one-shot, and it won't be for this dragon, but for the next dragon afterwards, we're looking at a 2.5, potentially 3-item Ori very early into this game. That is incredibly problematic for Northwood's chances.
What do you think? You think Winthrop need to pump the brakes here a little bit and not go after this dragon? Because you put yourself in a risky spot for Sword to fall, but you do have the Nocturne Ori combo.
I think you have to play for it. I think you have such a strong setup already from your mid-jungle, and you also just took away some of the tools from Cozy. That was Will trying to leverage his top laner, winning his matchup so hard that they can invade. If they kill Will again, I mean,
that's big damage. There's a shockwave, and they find the kill. Now, can Reppy find anything back on Sword? Sword is not exactly healthy. He's very low, and the shutdown is there. Reppy manages to keep it a 1-for-1, but the Nocturne over the top with the Lulu ultimate on the save, and that means Ogawa's in trouble, and with help from the turret, it's a 2-for-1 for Northwood.
and look at all of this from Northwood. They're able to protect their junglers' camps here. Get the There's no shutdowns, thankfully, if you are a Winthrop fan. This feels like them getting back to parity. We were just talking so much about this Orianna, but without spells and a great roam from Clarice to save his mid laner is a very expensive die. So now this means the Dragon is a little more contentious here. I think Northwood have some ground to stand on, especially because they have ultimates like the Perfect Execution coming on cooldown already.
Yeah, and Reppy got a huge infusion there. He's now got 3 kills on an item and a half, basically on the almost on the same pace as Sword sans boot upgrade. So we'll see how his damage is gonna come through in the next fight. Never mind, Reppy just gets the kill. He solo kills Sword.
This is problematic, Yanni. Okay, we're killing Cozy, allegedly.
Are we?
Maybe.
Are we actually? Okay. Do we have the damage to actually finish him off? Are we in a position where we can do this? Girlburger has no mana, and Cozy has realized it, but gets knocked up. Good job there by only 35.
They get so much as Northwood now. Getting that kill in mid opened up Will to move into bot side. You had Ogawa, who is coming off of his respawn going into top side. They take his camps. They get more plates. Reppy
And we
is
tag
gonna
up
die.
Reppy. Oh, wait. Oh, my goodness. He almost found
Alright.
Soldier.
But look at this, Northwood, second dragon of the game is theirs. Legacy picks up the first turret of the game in bottom lane. So Yunara actually starts to leapfrog the Varus when it comes to their gold value here in this game. And I think the fact that they have found Sword now twice after him being 4-0 to start this game, really big wins coming in for Northwood. Continue to sack these dragons so that we have something that we can consistently play around and something that isn't going to just be straightforward laning phases. You know, let's try to make the game a little bit more intense.
We talked about this build at a sword. Very aggressive, very big on damage, but not big on survivability. Pings on the Herald here for Northwood. No Nocturne Ori combo this time around, so it looks like this will just be a give going over to Northwood.
Northwood get everything, man. They got the bottom lane turret, they got the dragon, they got the Herald. What are Winthrop playing for? Because we have the
It
three
looks like they got
grubs.
Soldier too.
Oh no. He has
Bye-bye.
ultimate coming up. So you need it later. So he'll get this wave. Look at where Winthrop are now. We're putting 4 members in bot side river. No one's matching top lane, so potentially a plate that's going to go over. They're going to need to kill Reppy on this next wave. Otherwise, I think they lose out way too much on the map. And Northwood, they're going to be on 3 items potentially coming up in this third dragon, which, I mean, we haven't even talked. I know we've been talking about Soul, but if you lose the game at Soul Point, that's even tougher.
Yeah, I mean, look at this blitz of a play, right? It's so illegal that this is able to happen. They take the objective, they get a kill bot lane, they get 2 turrets off of that, all with no response from Winthrop right now. Now, the Nocturne Ori combo is up, and this next one needs to be big.
They can't even walk forward, though. They have no vision. Just want to note as well that with Will helping take this mid turret with the Herald, they actually get access to the Bastion Breaker passive, which is an enormous amount of true damage. So Will, if he shows up for another fight, or if we're just playing around and doing the standoff around this next dragon, I expect that Winthrop are going to have a very hard time, even with just a 2,000 gold deficit. It doesn't look like very much, and in the game, it's not going to feel like it's a ton, but you just press tab. You're hoping that, you know, we're going to have a finished Muramana, which might not even be the case here for this Varus. And this is a very damage-heavy Orianna build. Do we have enough of it here with a Lulu in the enemy team?
The shields can get real big, and will mean the difference between life and death. Will just invading this jungle, taking the blue buff away from Ogawa. Will has done such a good job picking up farm in this game and invading the jungle of Ogawa when available and picking away a camp or two that, despite Ogawa's strong early game where he had more kills, was down in farm.
Don't worry, enemy mid is down in farm heavy. Reppy is strong. They're going to go for
Okay,
instant
lights out.
Shroud.
But we can't see him right now, and he's going to play the bushes very well. Reppy going to look for sword, flashes away. Will get charmed up, will ult over the wall, but Ogawa will flash to follow. Reppy gets under the turret, but will not survive.
Nothing else. Nothing else taken here. Winthrop Garnet, they're going to go ahead and try to grab this turret plate. Let's see, everyone from Northwood starting to move down. Cozy will be here first, and with his ultimate, they want to go for
Sword
it. Yeah,
gonna get
get
chased down.
Orianna's flash right now. This is good.
Yep, this is very good. He'll instead eat the public execution. Meanwhile, over on the side, only 35 has nowhere to go, and in the blink of an eye, Orianna has also been turned to scrap.
Northwood now, they get to push this wave. It was early from Winthrop. I think they should have just taken their kill or stayed with their mid laner to help grip the turret, because now they get all this vision control as Northwood. They can reset, come back out of the map, and still have a lot of control over the zone. Thankfully for Winthrop Academy Garnet, they didn't lose the flash on their mid laner. That would have been probably the biggest loss here, because this next fight is huge. I mean, I was maybe overselling how powerful, how much gold Northwood were going to be able to get in this time. They weren't able to grab all of the turrets like I was maybe supposing, but still it is 2 items across the board, and 2 items that are much better than your opponents right now. Winthrop, their items kind of suck, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, they're not really there, and you know, Legacy's on 2.5 right now. It's a big half. with that last Whisper. Teleport coming in. That's Reppy down on the bottom side. 6 seconds till the Dragon's up. Lights are out. Shockwave goes down, but it doesn't have the damage to finish him off. Sword is cut off. So is Soldier. He's forced to flash over the wall, but Reppy's on the back side looking to cause some chaos, taking out the 80 carry. Sword forced into the mid lane as Girlburger's got a lot of HP, but not a lot of damage. Ogawa was on the wrong side of the tracks, and guess what? So is only 35. He's just waiting for the proper opportunity. Public execution onto Sword, and that means that this fight is forfeit. Turnaround knockup is there, but it's only a matter of time before they take out the health bar of Girlburger. That is a big fight win. A 4-for-1 for Northwood and Soul Point.
Yep, Garnet not able to do it, and Northwood come out victorious with a very big win. I mean, we got to see Reppy. They dove straight onto the Varus, took care of him incredibly quickly. Cozy, almost like a one-man army with this Eclipse and Black Leaper build right now. Almost 3,000 HP, a ton of healing and shielding, and once he's level 16, 30% armor penetration. No reason for this to exist on this champion, but whatever. Just so much damage, overwhelmingly so. And for all of the praise that I was going to give Winthrop for their front to back, how steady this composition can be, once the damage is behind or you're not consistent enough in it, it is super difficult to play. And so now Northwood find themselves at Soul Point.
A mountain to climb for Winthrop. It felt like things were going so well for them, and from the moment they went over aggressive and tried to make this dive play onto Reppy near that mid-tier 1 is where things started going wrong for them all. And I don't know if things will be able to go right. You're going to need a hell of a Nocturne Ori combo to be able to have a chance back in this game. Sword's third item that he's working on looking to be a Void Staff, so not even a Rabadon's for supercharged damage. There's the combo dropped onto Will. There's one. Let's see what else you can get.
What else are we going for? Scion is charging. Chugga. Okay, so we get tier 1 mid.
Look at Cozy from the side, though, just kind of lying in wait. Legacy wants to fight as well. Now we might try to pincer Winthrop.
We can fight. Fight,
yeah,
guys.
It's just saying Northwood wants to go for it, though, because they're down a member. They do spot out the Akali after killing the Scuttle Crab, and it looks like we're just going to start Baron here. We are ripping Baron.
I do not like this. Oh my god. We got out. Reppy gets to now rejoin his team. Good for Winthrop Garnet to just say, look, we're not gonna take this after all. We're just gonna reset, not make it a potential very weird scenario where Baron is shredding our resistances and Yunara and Akali and especially Zambessa become too problematic for us. So, and for Northwood, you're probably saying, okay, we don't have to try to outplay a Baron, and the game is still within touching distance. I will say, Yanni, it is 2,000 gold lead. It's gonna feel like closer to 5 right now.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very tough state to play. They don't have control of, if you're a Winthrop Garnet, I should say, they don't have control of the side lanes, especially from the 2 solo lanes coming in from Northwood. And really their only plan of attack is to try to draw out Cozy's TP, because Girlburger would not be able to match otherwise.
Yeah, that's really all you can do. And we're looking for that to happen first. We're looking for, a nice Orianna ultimate onto a couple of targets. If you just do like what you did last time and pick off Will that way, it's certainly a good way to try to find your way back in the game. But when you lose structures like this mid-tier 2, a gold lead further and further getting out of reach for Winthrop Garnet. It's 3.3k, 2 minutes until the soul for Northwood. It would be an Ocean Soul, which might just do it.
Okay, so we're 2 minutes before an objective. Cozy's gonna have his flash before this comes up, so is Soldier. I need to see Winthrop commit to something now. I want to see them push in on one wave, whether that's mid lane or bottom lane, and then we're just playing as a 5-man unit, because it's very clear that we're not going to be able to work on 2 lanes. Look where Soldier is. Soldier can't even step on the mid lane wave. There's a ward in the middle of this lane that if he steps too far, or if they see the rest of Winthrop, Northwood could just easily send it on to him, because there's a ton of fog of war on this side of the map. So Winthrop, you need intention. I need to see you walking into this side of the jungle soon and getting some kind of control, because you're playing Nocturne Ori. This is one of the few combos for Orianna where you don't have to be first to an objective.
Well, about 50 seconds went by and we got down a couple awards for Winthrop here, thanks to only 35. Now a minute until this dragon is up. Doing some finishing touches on clears on the top side with all those wards. Northwood very well aware of where Ogawa is. We'll see if we can cap off any of these builds. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Sword, if he, level 15 right now, probably a ways away from that last point in his ultimate. Would really help.
Taking a look, you were positing that it might be a Void Staff. It's going to be a Crypt Bloom. Turns out Orianna loves her ability haste. And that's fine. This is Winthrop Academy guard it. Now with control, I like how they're positioning. Playing the line brush, going into bot side river from mid. And you have Varus plus Orianna. The wave is just gone. Northwood's response is Ambessa and Akali pushing on sides, and that is exactly what I want to see. Make it uncomfortable for them, and even if you lose this dragon, you can squeeze for a ton of gold and make this 4,000 go up to 8,000 potentially with how many turrets you can get in the plates especially.
Crypt Bloom has been completed and a teleport used by Sword. As Northwood approaching from the bottom side of the pit, started up here by Will. Good shock blast, does a little bit of damage to Ogawa, but does get a spell shield out for the moment. Lights are going out. Let's see where we're going to go. Ball's on Ogawa, but they don't have any vision of anybody. We're going to look for Repi, but the shockwave was pulled too early, and that's a big cooldown. The knockup, and Ogawa's immediately got a flash, but he won't survive. Look at the backside. Only 35 is on a sliver, and Cozy is ripping them apart. He'll get shut down, but Repi makes his entrance. Might have to make his exit, but Girlburger just taking a lot of hits from Legacy and company. Good spacing to make sure that the rest of Winthrop could get out, but their health bars are not very good.
This is Ocean Soul though, Yanni, and we're giving it up for nothing. This is a tough fight. I mean, misexecution, yes, from Ogawa and Sword, but really, really well played from Northwood there. Control of space was excellent. I do think that Cozy is kind of holding on to his TP a little too long. I would have liked for him to just stay top lane, take some plates, teleport into that fight, but he shows up in mid and applies a ton of pressure onto Sword. They don't know which way they want to go. Do they go onto this Ambessa who's level 17, or do they just try to catch out someone on the opposite side like Legacy? Neither happens, and they lose out big time. That's Ocean Soul, that's the game.
Yeah, we're going to need some heal cut for that, and right now, I don't see any Ulk, and even if you do get it, it's, again, just more difficulty for Winthrop to fight through. Still always a chance, especially with the potent combo of Ori Nocturne, which we've talked about ad nauseum. Sometimes it's just what you do when you have this combo. Baron down to 10k HP and getting lower. Girlburger going to show up to the party as Cozy down on the bottom side, trying to deal with 3 members, getting caught up there. Now we're going to drop the ultimate with a shockwave, but good buffer. Gets Cozy onto the back line, ulted and shielded very well, and he manages to survive. Now we're going to turn back onto Girlburger here, who's desperately trying to escape, and Cozy's going to continue to put the pressure on, try to deal as much damage as possible, but now down very low. Girlburger goes down. Repi and Legacy flashing forward, looking to finish this game off. It's a double kill. It's a triple kill for Repi, and you know he might have a pentakill in his eyes. Next target's going to be Soldier. Tags him twice, tags him thrice. Quadra kill for Repi. He doesn't have a flash, but he definitely wants only 35, who's on a little bit of HP, but not a lot of cooldowns. He's able to hop away. Pentakill denied by the Turkish support, but I do believe that Northwood will be able to run down mid and end this game.
And look, this is to be expected, the first seed versus the 4th seed from either of their groups. Northwood, a bit of a trickier laning phase, but once we got out of that, Winthrop just completely collapsed underneath the weight of their solos from Northwood. They'll take game number 1, and you know, I think Repi's scoreline did the biggest glow up. From minute 1 to now, we went from like 0-3 Akali into 11-4. That is great.
I'd be careful who you call ugly in middle school, Hulk. You know, you never know, right?
That's
like,
true.
That was
end
a
up on the
really
NECC broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. A really great finish there from Repi. And again, it all started when that over-aggressive play that happened in mid lane. They handed him so much gold. He was 3-4 at that point, and in the blink of an eye, he was 5-5, and then 11-6. He hit the ground running, and you know, we did talk about how if you give him a lot of gold, right? You give him opportunity, he will be able to still make plays happen because the rest of the Winthrop squad wasn't very tanky.
Really good stuff, I think, coming in from Northwood. A couple of questions about their gameplay, right? I think if your lanes can go a little bit better, if Reppy could just, have a better handle, that is a tough matchup, but still, right? Other than that, I mean, I think there were a couple of mistakes there from Winthrop, obviously, especially the play around mid where we went onto the dive onto Akali underneath the turret, and that completely backfired thanks to Claritz being there. We didn't use Soldier's advantage. That bottom lane was like Armageddon down there very early, and we did not get very much from that.
No, just a lot of poking and prodding, but overall, not a whole lot of kills. We'll see what Winthrop can bring to the table going into game 2, because we're going to take a short break, and when we return, it could be the last game of the night with Winthrop staving off, trying to get into the lower bracket, and Northwood trying to make this a clean 2-0.
So far gone, I'm caught up, infatuated by our symmetry. It feels like before now, I was only half of me. Thought that I had figured it out, never felt it rationally, but this sense of urgency has me wondering. Thought that I had figured it out, nothing could get through to me, but this kind of chemistry has me wondering. When you're not around it, all goes black and white. How come I'm not seeing in color? Lost without you, I can't make it through the night. How come I'm not seeing in color? It started out as cheesy, but I had deeper meaning when I touched your chest. Now I don't know how, but if I did, and I don't have any wishes. When I kiss our lips fit well, and I don't have expectations. But when I daydream of us, and our hands melt. But if I did, and I don't have wishes, our lips fit well, and I don't have expectations. When I daydream of us, and our hands melt.
I would go through hell and back, make my way into the dark. Cause I'm trying to get to you, yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you. I would climb 1,000 mountains, swim across the darkest ocean. Cause I'm trying to get to you, yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you.
You'll still have common days. Forget someone's name mid-conversation. Count your tips at the end of your shift. Buy something disappointing off the internet. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC League of Legends Division 1 stream here in the Forge Trials that are presented by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. Alk, game 1 win, went over to Northwood. Think that Winthrop
did.
in the early game, you know, it was strong. It was good. I was surprised by the way they played. I think they played nice and controlled, and then they got ahead and they just kind of lost their heads.
They got him taken off, right? They got him completely lopped off in some of those fights. You know, look, Cozy, we talked about one of the strong things that we wanted to see was just really strong lanes coming in from Northwood. And that ended up kind of happening, right? The Scion versus Mbessa, that has definitely gone a little bit more in Mbessa's way since some of the Scion nerfs. But still, generally, I think Cozy has shown the breadth of his experience so far. And Reppy, once we got out of lane, looked like a beast. So, feels good, I guess.
Yeah, you can't really ask for too much more. What kind of went under the radar is the game that Will played. His early game was strong. Ogawa had an equally strong early game as well. That's why he didn't really, get a lot of plaudits for what he did on his Jace, but he was solid enough for presented, like 20k damage, doubled the damage of Ogawa, and he didn't really need much out of Legacy and Clarice, but listen, if you're allowed to play late game carry plus Enchanter combo with what you have on the top side, chances are, if you ever need them, it's a good insurance policy.
Yeah. And I just want to see something that I had seen from the last couple of times we have talked about Winthrop Garnet is honestly just how they don't really utilize their bot lane particularly well. I remember getting glimpses of watching this Garnet team, and this was still with Papa in the mid lane actually. Soldier just kind of feels like he is here, but isn't necessarily like a part of the game plan. I don't think that they have figured out a way to really incorporate this AD carry in some of their stage games so far. I will admit, right, we haven't seen the full breadth of all of their games here in the NECC, but from the few times we have gotten them on stream, it has felt like, regardless of if Soldier is winning or losing, that it is not an integral piece of how they like to play League competitively.
I think you're right about that. And I think there's a lot lost when that happens because, only 35 is so good at playing these aggressive supports. I think of his Leonas, his Nautilus, and we don't really see a combination down on the bottom side that can take advantage of that, right? And get leads that way and be able to move around only 35 and leverage that in other lanes. And I think that when you take that away, it does become a lot more difficult for him to be unlocked to be able to be a big playmaker. So we'll see if things change for Winthrop Garnet, but it does feel like if they unlock that bottom lane, they'll be able to hit another gear that maybe takes them as one of the top teams in the NECC Division 1 category. In two picks and bans here, you can see the Fearless bans that are out on the bottom side, and we're immediately going back to banning away the Karma.
All right. I mean, fine. We're not playing with both Clarice and Clyde, so we don't have to worry about too many of those enchanters. Seems like a big focus on bottom lane. I wonder when we are going to pivot into banning more of Reppy and Cozy stuff. Are we going to now on red side for a second time try to get a counter pick for any of these lanes? Because I think if you're just going to be blinding mid jungle as we saw previously for Winthrop, I don't think that we're really utilizing the draft in the best way and is setting up Northwood to utilize those flexes like we saw. And Bessa Jace Akali, you can have an idea that Reppy's probably going to play Akali, but you could always have things kind of turn around.
Yeah, and they do need to give a little bit more to Girlburger, I think. I don't think you can just keeping them in these, hey, we're going to throw you on a tank and you're going to have to lane it to Cozy, right? Cozy's too good to let him get a free lane like that. So maybe a little bit of help in the draft. Wouldn't it be nice there? We're seeing Winthrop be the ones to ban out the Rumble, which is, again, a Girlburger special. So a little surprised by that, as a lot of bans headed toward that bottom lane, that mid lane as well on the side of Northwood. And let's see what they're going to pick up first overall in this draft.
A lot of different options. I mean, we're going to pick mid. All right, we're getting Reppy Azir. Oh boy, we're going to be having a lot of fun with this one. Seems fine kind of to me anyway, but we can continue to move forward. I mean, a lot of answers I think that Sword has available to himself. Rise, Talia, two champions that I would definitely associate with Sword.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll get a Misfortune locked in here for the side of Winthrop, so that fits exactly what we're looking for here. Something a little bit more aggressive down in the bottom lane, and we're going to see a Talia come through here for Sword. So getting to cut out on some of that movement, have that nice global, be able to make some plays.
needs some strong setup, because you can bully your opponents in the lane, but if we don't have our Alistar, our Rels, our Nautilus, I do think it's a bit difficult to ask for a Misfortune and Talia. So we're getting an Ezreal. It is going to be locked away from the Karma. It just means that we're going to be building out a very robust front line with Xin Zhao, and whether that's with an Enchanter or another engaged support, I do think it's a little bit more difficult for Winthrop to actually get into the back line, even now with a Pantheon being hovered. I do think that the jungle 2v2 is a winning advantage here for Winthrop, but if they're not able to take or grab Leona, Nautilus, or Alistar off the table, I think things become extremely problematic for Garnet.
Well, immediately picking out the Bard here to be banned away, so we are in a scenario where they could ban one more of those supports that you mentioned and take the other if they want, which would give you some decent setup for Misfortune. Gnar going to be taken away for the side of Northwood, so trying to make sure that Girlberger can't get one of these champions that can give you a little bit more of a favorable matchup.
What else are we going to get? So Braum, it's fine. You know they are playing into the Misfortune, but this really leaves up a lot of support still in my mind. Like, I'm really hung up on those two. And if we're not going to pick support on 4 here as Winthrop, then we're probably just blinding top lane. And I think into Cozy, that's kind of dangerous, right? Because he has, I think, a few different counters that he would want to play. So Garen is interesting. Garen, this tells me we're playing Cassante. And Cassante doesn't do very much, but he is very threatening, I think. And that could be part of that front line that we were talking about for Azir and Ezreal.
All right, Rel, the lock-in for Winthrop. It's a good combo that we were expecting whenever you get a Misfortune, but there's that Alistar that's picked up by Northwood that you said was going to be so good for them. See what it's able to do to rebuff this Rel and this Pantheon.
Ooh, Yanni, I love this draft for Northwood, man. Like,
so good.
Alistar into Talia isn't great, but into Rel, perfect. Into Pantheon, perfect once we get into these later game scenarios. So Northwood feel very comfortable at this draft, and this is an R5 that I can get excited about. We're getting Mundo, great tank stats, yes. Is he going to get into the back line fast enough that his team doesn't get ripped to shreds? That is going to be the most important part. And against Xin Zhao, it is a little bit problematic. So I think name of the game for this one, Yanni, target selection for both teams. Who are we going towards? Who are we prioritizing? And how are we achieving that goal?
Couldn't agree more. I also think for Northwood, they do need to be careful and make sure they are playing around with their Xin Zhao because, listen, you know, Ezreal spikes on 2 items. It's going to take a little bit to get there, right? Azir, take a while to get to a big peak there, but they have good steps here. Step 1 is in, step 2 is Ezreal, step 3 is Azir, and win the game. But listen, for Winthrop, it feels like their team wants to do 2 different things, right? You want to make plays with Pantheon and Talia, and then you want to have this full engage coming through for Rel and Misfortune. Nice little 2-step program going on there. Speaking of programs, some uncommon traits about Winthrop University. This is Uncommon Traits brought to you by the Army National Guard. You can find your calling at nationalguard.com. The sword is mightier in the mid lane. We've got some high expectations for only 35, and because they're an academy team, or the, I'm sorry, not academy, but the, academy, that's the word. Something to prove, nothing to lose for them.
Yep, that's true. Sword is mightier, I would say, but I think Sword has also been on a bit of a downtrend when we talk about him more recently, and only 35, yes. Currently benched from the Winthrop lineup as the main support with Kim Down joining, but he really does have, I think, a lot to prove when it comes to playing at this level. He should be by and far away one of the most experienced supports. Funnily enough, only trumped by the man across from him here tonight, Clyde. And something to prove, nothing to lose. I think it's an interesting tagline because for Winthrop Garnet, they have not had the strongest showing so far here in NECC for the start of 2026. But like they said, I mean, double Elim here in the Forge Trials in this playoff bracket, you really don't lose all that much. And even if they were to lose, I'm just looking at who their further opponent would be. It'd be the loser between Indiana Tech and Mizzo Esports, which if they get the Miz, then it's just going to be a rematch from their regular season.
can't
Or sorry,
believe that
Indiana
one
Tech.
of these. I can't believe that one of these teams has to go into the lower bracket to kick things off, Ulk, because I mean that's going to be a hell of a lower bracket run for them. I think that we're really going to see how powerful this Winthrop Garnet squad is and where like the barometer is if they do end up losing this series. But I mean, if Northwood gets sent down there somehow, right? You know, Winthrop is able to go and reverse sweep the series. I mean, they should just be torching this entire lower bracket. I mean, no offense to some of the other teams on here, but you know, we're really looking at like Grandview, Fisher, Northwood, Indiana Tech, and Winthrop as the top 5 teams, and those are a hell of a top 5 teams out of this entire 18 bracket.
Yep, it's going to be really, really interesting. I think looking back at the regular season, it's always important to kind of see the journey in which they kind of got here. I do think that the schedules were made a little bit different in comparison. Like, both teams actually ended up facing the 2 teams that would have been second and third in their group. For Winthrop Academy, they would have played against Indiana Tech and Roosevelt, which ended up being second and third. Same thing here for Northwood. They played against the second and fourth best teams in their group at the end of the season. But Northwood are the team that ended with only a single game loss across 7 best of 3s. I think that is incredible to see in terms of consistency week after week here in the NECC, and continuing on to semifinals would be a continuation of that.
The only varsity team in these playoffs, and they are damn sure showing it all, as we are on Summoner's Rift for Game 2, this best of 3 series with Northwood. Trying to close this one out in 2. Winthrop Garnet trying to fight back. We know that they can. The strong early game they had in Game 1, they just need to do it again and then be able to convert.
That is really sad for Winthrop that they didn't actually grab a kill onto Claritz. He'll miss out on the wave, and that, you know, means that Misfortune and Rel will get access to level 2 a little bit sooner. Maybe Legacy will hit with solo experience, but Sword doesn't actually lose all that much. Not only thanks to the minion movement speed passive on Talia, but just the speed at which he was able to get back to the lane didn't end up mattering all that much. Junglers are pathing towards the bottom side, which when we're talking about getting certain level breakpoints is kind of important when we're getting closer to 3 minutes.
And now Sword shoving this wave in, not to be unexpected. As mentioned, Talia can always do some solid bullying here. It's just a matter of which jungler is going to be able to impact this lane first, right? If you can really get things going with this Talia Pantheon combo, you can have them both effortlessly move around the map and cause chaos and break the game open really early.
You have so much to do here. Gawa seemingly wants to try to look for something in mid, maybe cross through topside and see if Zinzao is going to step forward. If Repi dies, this is a very big boon, but showing on mid wave is even worse. What is Ogawa doing? We are really idling around here. This is just lost time for Winthrop Garnet. Meanwhile, Will is continuing his jungle clear. They knew that he was on red on his Raptors. Doesn't matter. He's already done with his Krugs, and he's going to be moving on to red buff. And I mean, look, Yanni, haven't touched too much on the jungles outside of that first game, but I think getting double scuttle on Zinzao, super dangerous.
Yeah, you've put yourself in a really good opportunity for Will. It's just a matter of if he's ready to try and go for it. We'll see if Ogawa's just going to pick up the blue buff and then head over to the crab. It looks like he's leaning toward that, and he will do so. Will just head up top and take care of his.
I'm going to skip. I appreciate this from Ogawa. Just saying, I can go and hit my camps. I cannot give him over 2 scuttles. That is the line in which we must draw this in.
Sometimes you have to say enough.
Raptors, because they don't know that Pantheon is behind, but if Repi TPs, there's a realistic chance, because Sword is using Ghost right now to get back.
Very nice movement here from Will to get into that tribe rush. He's going to start channeling a recall, but we'll see if Girlburger steps up a little bit too far, and he wants to cancel this one.
I don't think he's going to cancel. He is.
Yep.
All right.
We're going to go right in. Cozy is quite low, goes unstoppable, flashes away. Girlburger is knocked up and struck down. First blood going over to Will.
Girlburger had flash to get back the passive canister. Maybe there's some play
big stun.
here. Whoa.
All right, knockup is there, flashing out immediately. Is only 35. His Soldier trying to soak up as much damage as he can from his support, but it's taking a lot back. Legacy's barrier is down. Soldier still has his.
Can win
Now
this.
a lead in support for the moment. Once Clarice hits level 4, get a lot of HP back and it'll be a little bit easier to fight.
Neither jungler being here means you can kind of have some more Armageddon moments in bottom lane, but Clarice and Legacy played that very, very well. The only thing that we'll kind of go over in Winthrop's favor here is that they're going to continue to get bot priority, and MF still has the barrier. Reppy, do not get solo killed right now, brother. Thank you. You will live.
Where's the flash out of that one? The sword is stepping up, and Will is just going to show up. Ends up being a 1-for-1, and Will being the good guy, letting it be a 1-for-1, but down on the bottom side, it's anything but a 2-for-0 Legacy and Clarice.
All you got to do is look at that wave and just say, yep, we're winning this game, boys. Good play in mid. Got the didn't get the flash from sword, which is probably for the best, but both of our mid laners going down there, not super worth it. It does open up a timer now that Winthrop will be able to grab this first dragon, if they so please. Double kill over to Ezreal. Not what I want to see from my Rel and Misfortune lane, that's for sure. So great job going over to Legacy and Clarice for setting that up. Their 2v2 has been really, really well played so far, especially in this game.
Yeah, that sort of thing should never happen, where you're this strong lane. You're not able to get the job done. A bit of overextension means that Legacy is up right now, and good for him, right? This is a guy that has, had that starting spot on Ole Miss, and Shogo ended up coming in and taking over, and for a while he was just kind of lost on that Ole Miss roster as the 6th man, and now having an opportunity on a team like this to try and turn it around in the C-Law landscape. We'll see if he's able to do so here. 3v3 shifting forward, and Will finishes off that kill.
That's free. Okay, whoa.
Clarice stepped up a little bit too far. Triple knockup is there. The ultimate for Will. Now it's a 3v2, but Reppy is on the way. They make it a 1-for-1 in the end. Does Will want more? Tagging only 35. Not going to look for more, but it's still a good play for Northwood.
Like, Ezreal is just way too flexible here in this draft. Just the mobility that he has access to and the range makes it almost suffocating for Winthrop Garnet. I mean, this is a Xin Zhao at 3-0, 6.5 minutes. Legacy, if we get a kill here.
He does have his ultimate available. He does find one kill. I don't think he'll be able to find a second one. And then it's a shutdown going over to Soldier.
Shutdown. What can we see from Ezreal's build here? So, already had the machine. Okay, let's
he's
pick.
getting his
Let's pick,
mallet.
brother. Okay, so Phage is 1. That's just free movement speed for the rest of the game, essentially, if he's able to land spells. And now we're just trying to push out a wave. Good use of the Ezreal ult, and then he's Misfortune's now trapped. She has to pick up this wave. Alistar can be here. Ezreal's going to be on time for this one, so they can make a movement into bot side jungle if they really want to, or I think more importantly, Clarice can now look after they get this wave in to move around the map, maybe even punish mid lane.
See him start making those movements happen. If you can outmove only 35, you're well on your way to getting a win. And so far, the abuse has come in big time down in this bottom side. 2,000 gold lead for Northwood, and a lot of it is there. Bullet time coming in, doing a lot of damage to Clarice. So stop and get that last stun off, meaning that only 35, tagged very low. Legacy does not have the ultimate available. Both AD carries will remain healthy for the moment.
Okay. This is going very well for Northwood. I know we were maybe a little bit more looking forward to what Winthrop Garnet we're going to be able to put forward, just again the legacy.
Oh, they think that Clarice in here. Oh, there's that heal getting burnt. The engage is on. Nogawa showing up to the party, getting an assist. Kill going over to Soldier.
It was a good look, I think, from Northwood, but anytime there is a level 6+ Pantheon and Talia, you can't be that far up, especially that low. Winthrop will take their free kill and at least get a little bit more gold on their side of the map. But I don't like this for Northwood. We're going to be losing Flash.
We're flashing onto Will here. Seismic Shove as well. Another stun coming through. Really nice play by only 3. Oh my goodness! They served him up into a true shot barrage. And then fight is a disaster for Winthrop. Sword trying, will be able to find a kill onto Reppy, but it's a 3-for-1 for Northwood.
Damn, that is huge. And like we saw there, beautiful timing on the ultimate from Reppy. Pushes the Rel into the true shot barrage. By the way, we didn't touch on this during the fight, but Will already completed the Sundered Sky before that
My
fight.
goodness.
So I don't know how Winthrop, knowing that Will has ultimate, made the decision that, you know what, we should kill this guy. Yeah, we could do it. We have the damage. We have Talia with not a completed item. It's okay, guys. He's only 1,300 gold now ahead of us. And completed item makes that impossible at this point. So Will is masterfully fed here in this game number 2 and setting up for Northwood to have a much easier track here, potentially close out the series.
Yeah, he is really running over Ogawa in this second game, and you know, Ogawa had such a good start in that last game, kind of, again, as we said, made it a little bit more even despite Will having farm advantages, but in this one, he has been the one dominating the skirmishes with that sparkling scoreline right now, 4-0-1. We'll continue to push ahead. We talked about how there's kind of levels to this composition. Level 1 is Will getting ahead. Level 2 is Legacy hitting his 2-item spike. Well, he's about halfway there, and Legacy has already been dominating the early game as well.
Just look at the carries right now for Northwood. Already completing so many big items 10.5 minutes in. Where are Winthrop's inventories at? Kind of poverty levels. We're on the line right now. And Trinity Force, yes. Naturous Tooth already done for Reppy. Feels pretty good, won't lie. And he's going to get stronger as this game goes on, so I need to see more from Winthrop. This is where the part of the game gets easier for them. With laning phases ending, with role quests being completed soon, expect for lanes to get a little bit more volatile thanks to having the Talia and Pantheon. It just depends on what lane we're going to be playing on, and if we're also going to try to incorporate only 35.
Second Dragon of the game, taken out pretty easily. Reppy taking some damage, but goes in after Sword. He flashes away, other side of the fight. Ogawa and only 35 having a little bit of trouble because he can't handle Will. Bullet time's not going to do a damn thing to Will, and it doesn't really do much to Clarice either. Knockup is there, and only 35 will fall once again. Legacy wants to go after Soldier here, and you know he's going to win the fight because he's just got bigger damage. Flash forced out. Ezreal doesn't land. Ogawa being forced in between these turrets. Reppy executes to the turret.
We're having fun. Cozy might die top lane. I am seeing some ultimates being pressed right now. There's the flash. No turret shot. Pantheon ult. Pantheon ult. It's getting channeled.
All right, we're going to land just short of Cozy's speed here. We'll be able to stun him up. That was close. But Ogawa finishes him off.
Feels good. Feels good. All right. Still, Yanni, I am happy if I am Northwood. I am very, very worried for Winthrop Garnet. I just saw an MF ult, and it was on a Xin Zhao who had his Crushing Guard, so I'll give him some slack there, but you were hitting the Alistar the whole time. I did not see that health bar move, and that's not good. That is a free advice for anybody at home. If my MF ult does no damage, we're in a lot of trouble. That is a big portion of our combo.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we didn't really talk about when looking at these comps. I mean, you're going to have a lot of Misfortune ults this game that might not do a lot of damage. Well, hold that thought for a moment as Sword is coming in. Very nice play. Looking for Legacy here. He's trying to sidestep and do whatever he can, but he will go down all the same. Double knockup from Clarice should get him out without too much of an issue.
Good. I mean, it's exactly what I wanted to see, right? It isn't necessarily the laning phases or the
Clarice is going back in. We've missed the stun. We've got the knockup here, but Clarice, despite the fact that you have Alistar ultimate, I don't think this is going to go the way you wanted to. They'll let it time out and finish him off.
Okay, good. Yeah, like this is exactly what I wanted to see just a little bit earlier, right? But Reppy has been taking control of the lane. Ogawa now has to catch this wave for a second time in a row because of how extended that second part of the bot dive was. But we got a ton of summoners out from Legacy. We were able to get some of those plates for our Misfortune. More importantly, just finishing the role quest somehow before the Ezreal. So now I think that Winthrop can feel a little bit more breathing room in this game number 2.
Yeah, they're certainly not on steady ground quite yet, but another play like that can certainly pull them right back to parity. One thing that we didn't mention is that Grubbs went the way of Northwood. That's very big for Reppy on a side lane. Will going to move forward. Great movement there. And Sword not going to have much of a chance. Superior will get popped off of the tier item, but he will survive. And they might look for a turnaround on a Will. Remember, you are between turrets here. Only 35 going in. Great flash from Will. Sword does what he can to get Clarice low, but Kane will be able to finish him off. Only 35. Will sustaining, but Will fall. Teleports in. Girlburger's here. Legacy shifts over the wall and is immediately taken out. We're flashing on top of Reppy. He'll use the Emperor's Divide and will be able to slide over the wall, and he will teleport his way out of there.
Very expensive dive from Northwood. I mean, that's control of this bot side jungle, and look, you got flashes out before this dragon in a minute and a half time, but there's not much to play for. Like, it's not like a soul point quite yet in this game. It's not we're getting closer to the soul. Both teams will have a second dragon, whoever is able to acquire this, and you didn't even get very many plates, so you got Reppy to lose his TP, you got the flash out from Will, and you got, more importantly, some good shutdowns going over. Will dying there, and that kill going into MF really equalizes a lot of this game. So big mistake coming in from Northwood that now Winthrop hopefully can try to punish.
We're going to look for Soldier, but he's able to reposition himself nicely. Stun on the Clarice, forces his ultimate out. We don't have a bullet time to use quite yet. Legacy taking some autos, but another knockup coming through as Clarice is just wreaking havoc. Ogawa will finally get onto Legacy, and they will be able to finish him off, but not before he gets two. And Cozy cleans up the last one. Meanwhile, over on the side, Sword having to contend with Will. He's forced to flash the wall, but Clarice is in hot pursuit. The Mad Cow will stun him up, and will pick up the pieces.
That's really tough. Okay, so we just went from one very good play for Winthrop to one really good play for Northwood with getting 4 kills in one, and now they have Reppy who's on the side lane playing against this Mundo. 3 Void Grubs. You're just gonna get this turret. Reppy's gonna hit his second item super quickly and in time for not this dragon, but the one after it. And remember, this game so good for Northwood once we get to those 2 item spikes. Reppy,
he's up a little bit too far. Emperor's Divide's not going to get Girlburger away from you, and that healing is big. Ogawa even investing his ultimate to scoop up the shutdown.
Gotta go for this dragon now. Winthrop, we're moving into this objective. Girlburger, it doesn't matter if you're not going to be able to join. We'll just have you walk into this play. Let Cozy maybe take a couple turret plates on top side. They're too spread out. Winthrop still recovering from that last fight around the mid lane. It is really tough for them to walk in now.
Yeah, they don't have enough damage to get on the Clarice. They were not able to get on this dragon with Sword up at the top side and no teleport, so that pick won't amount to much for the moment, Hulk.
There we go. A delay there for a moment. I'm scared, Yanni, because this game is super close. It says 4,000 gold, but this game is within grasp of either team. It is favoring Northwood, however. Again, 2 items being very close here for the Azir. Trinity Force and Goromana's almost done for the Ezreal. The only thing that I would say to combat that is this Misfortune, who, again, Soldier, a big part of the game plan this time around.
Alright, we'll look to make a play on the Cozy here. They're putting him in the bounce house, but the Ezreal comes through, and Legacy is here to break this fight wide open. He's shifting forward. Ogawa stuns him up, but he's kiting it out wisely. Flashing forward is Cozy, and Ogawa gets sniped. The flash forward looking for Sword, and he's going to go down next. Soldier gets knocked up and knocked down. It's a triple kill for Legacy. Only 35 going to be the next target, and you know Will is going to take him down.
Cozy's gonna get this wave, Yanni. They're gonna get Herald. Azir got the turret anyway and continues to push bottom lane. Hell, he'll shift into mid and he'll take this. They'll get jungle camps. Northwood come out massive for this play. Another team, big team fight win coming on through it. I'm looking at some of these buttons. Where is the Talia wall? Where is the Misfortune ult that's helped setting this up? Winthrop Garnet are just way too scattered in their comms right now and in the way they tend to set up these fights. and it's just becoming more and more chaotic, which is exactly what North would have wanted to do all series long. Game 1, kind of a chaos comp. You have the Akali with Mbessa and a Jace. Second game here, it's supposed to be a team comp where you poke away, and then let Xin Zhao and eventually Alistar kind of be the ones that kind of sit on top of the carries and win the fight for you, but Winthrop are just fighting.
Legacy gets flashed on here. He did big damage, but he's not able to finish it off. Now here comes Clarice. Double knockup is there. Cozy will be able to finish off the 80 carry. Teleport coming in from Girlberger, and we're going to have a matched one here from Reppy as well. But look who is caught on top of that TP. It's Ogawa. Clarice with another double knockup, and now the rest of Northwood looking to get more out of this fight. Looks like they might call this off for the moment, but it's just Girlberger and only 35. Rift Herald's going to get dropped.
It's too expensive. Winthrop, we killed the enemy AD. Yes, Ezreal is strong. 3 items, by the way. He just went immediately into a Spear of Shojin. But now, they just get the mid-wave, and now they're going to go for another turret. This is great from Cozy. They're getting so much gold, and a single flash from Ogawa onto the enemy mid. Enemy AD carry just lost them 10,000 gold.
The seismic shot was well placed, but a good unstoppable there from Cozy. Bullet time over the top. Not going to get much in the way of damage now. Girlberger trying to tank up Will and Reppy. Soldier trying to do what he can, but he gets a little bit too close to Will. He gets sniped out. Reppy falls as well. Girlberger cannot sustain through all this damage, will be forced to flash away. But Legacy is in the face of Ogawa, and he does not give a damn. Shifting over to the side, looking to snipe out Sword as well. Girlberger just trying to body block to do what they can. Legacy taking up a couple of turret shots, getting a big shield from Clarice to stay alive. It's a double kill for Legacy. It's Will cleaning it up and getting the ace for Northwood. The last couple of fights have been all them.
I mean, that's just the game. Like, I'm still going back to the flash we just saw from Pantheon on the midwave to kill Legacy. You went from a 4,000 gold deficit to an 8,000 gold deficit, and now it's 10,000 gold. This is a huge swing. I mean, the gold graph after this is going to be completely insane. And Northwood, I think, essentially just got gifted a free late game. Like, there was no real reason to go for a flip like that with all of your members, and now we've made 3 very rushed plays for Winthrop in a row that have essentially made the game impossible from this standpoint. There are still angles. 3-item misfortune, potentially going to be able to do that, but Will is so strong right now.
I just don't know how it's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, it's going to take a while for Soldier to get there. He doesn't have much crit in this build right now, so you're not even really relying on these bullet time crits. It's going to perhaps be a Baron play for Northwood where we're able to get a full channel bullet time off. And here's the start of that Baron play.
Soldier and only 35 just have not been able to coordinate this game, despite having the Rel and the Misfortune. It's an Ezreal, it's an Azir. This thing is gone. There's no contest coming on third from Winthrop.
Maybe there is. We're getting some chip damage onto it, but not quite securing. Clarice with another huge knockup. Ogawa and Sinister Pizza taking care of Legacy on the side, but we have bigger problems up on the top side. Emperor's Divide doesn't hit anybody. Only 35 is going to fall. Good damage from Soldier over the wall, and Sword will pick up Reppy, but the problem is there's not that much in the way of health bars left. Ogawa will finally fall. Girlberger is just there to make sure that Soldier can escape. The fight went a little bit better than expected for Winthrop, but it is still not a favorable result.
Still got 3 Barons. I mean, Cassante and Xin Zhao, barring them just like taking way too much damage, obviously, they are unkillable, right? Cassante especially, there is no penetration from this team right now, aside from a Black Cleaver, and even that's not doing very much here in this fight. Even with Pantheon having percent armor penetration, it is not enough right now. Northwood are way too far ahead. And especially in the jungle, we wanted to see some solo lane gaps. We're seeing a big one in the jungle pop up. It makes sense when you think about Will's experience, especially.
He's still such an incredibly young player, too. He's going to be, I think, 22 this year. He's so experienced, so seasoned. Makes games and series like these pretty easy. He's only 35, gets picked off in the jungle. Ogawa is going to be the next target. And it's just a well-oiled machine of Northwood, and everybody heads to the next play. Will up a little bit too far, but his ultimate is going to just keep him upright. Things are going to be fine. Girlberger is trying to heal up, but there is way too much damage. It is now a 5v2 as Northwood has dove a turret. They have a minion wave coming in, and they're now able to peel back if they want.
Who needs an Ocean Soul, right? Well, we'll take a Claritz instead, but we're still going to keep going. A stun at the last moment there from the Unraveled Earth onto Repi.
Oh.
I think saves Soldier, but still has Flash, still has Barrier, and we're going to be pushing off after this. This is a window where we can try to chase them out.
All right, we've used the Weaver's Wall. Unfortunately for Sword, he immediately walks up, and Repi says, okay, we can give another one over to the squad. Will pushing back into the base, looking for Soldier. Soldier with a very nice flash, but that's not going to save him, and he gets all out. And Ogawa shows up and says, I need to immediately leave. Repi getting the shield, staying upright, still trying to move around. Will finally falls. Ogawa jumps on top of him. But yeah, it's a 3v1. It's Grillburger and 2 turrets. It may as well be 3 turrets because those turrets are going to do a lick of damage as Northwood are looking to double up the score. 40 kills to 20 in a 2-0 decimation of Winthrop Garnet. They'll move on to the next round to the upper bracket.
Game 1, a bit shaky from the Northwood boys, but very, very clean game 2. One that I really feel strongly that Northwood were definitely willing to scrap, but I think Winthrop Academy Garnet just way too eager. A lot of fights where either just we don't have the damage, we are too far behind in some of the gold leads, or just flatly just really, really strange decision making, at least from us here with the God vision that we do have as part of the Spectate client. So I don't know. I have a lot of questions for if this Winthrop Garnet, again, they are the 4th seed. They do carry the name of playing under the Winthrop banner, but, you know, there is, like we said in one of the traits, something to prove, nothing to lose versus this team.
Yeah, it kind of felt like one of those flex games that we get into where, you know, things don't go well and then a bad play is made and then another consecutive bad play is made and then in the blink of an eye you've lost 3 straight fights. It's very unfortunate that that's the way it went for the side of Winthrop, but there was a little bit to like in some of these games, really harkening back to that first game for things to like. They've shown that they can play that kind of early game against a Northwood team. If they can get in the lab and replicate that, maybe, just maybe, we could see these 2 teams again at the end of the line.
Maybe. Taking a look at the bracket here for the Forge Trials, which is the name of our playoffs here at NECC. This team will be playing, as we mentioned, for the lower bracket, the winner between Indiana Tech and Mizo Esports. So one of those teams is going to be expecting a hopefully bouncing back Winthrop Academy, and the winner of that series, which is also concurrently being played today, maybe going to have to do a little bit of research versus Northwood University.
No doubt about it all. That will do it for our stream here today. Before we go, we want to give a big shout out to the Army National Guard, who is sponsoring the Forge Trials. It's presented by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. We have Overwatch tomorrow, and we are rating the Aurora Series Valorant after this. So go ahead, stick around if you want to watch some Valorant. We'll be back next Thursday for more League of Legends, and we'll be back tomorrow for Overwatch.
Before we leave.
Yes.
Rare Adam, keep us here for a moment. I didn't realize this. Indiana Tech actually got their win. The Mizo actually ended up FFing their first series. So it'll be Northwood versus Indiana Tech in the upper bracket. All right, we can actually send it. Again, Aurora Series. We'll be back tomorrow with Overwatch. Later. Goodbye.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
I would gone through hell at to you.